Hey everyone. So yesterday I ran through a couple of quick tutorials on Azure Digital Twins where I got an environment set up and then we used a Microsoft demo app, the Digital Twins Explorer, to be able to visualize the digital entities and their relationships. But I thought today I'd run through the coding tutorial that Microsoft have prepared. So obviously this is a bit of detail here about Azure Digital Twins that we looked at yesterday. And if you didn't see that, then by all means go and check out the other videos on my Twitch stream and you'll see the video for that. Apologies for the sound for that yesterday. Hopefully I'll fix that today, but we'll see. Seems as though just unplugging the power to my Surface and plugging it back in again resets something. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure why. Either way, hopefully the sound's better today. So yeah, this is the tutorial I was going to run through, and it's basically creating a C# project and then creating the Digital Twins DTDL language stuff there as well. So again, I've not run through this actually, this particular example, so you'll be learning with me, which I think is kind of the whole point of Twitch. So I thought we'd get going. I will have done some of this essentially yesterday, looking at it. So we can use any code editor in .NET Core 3.1 that I've got installed. We need to prepare an instance. Now I've already done that, did that yesterday. And then we need to set up a new project. So I have created a directory, or I will have done, over here. I'll just call this code. You can't see this, but I'm going to just grab there we are. So I've created a directory here and we're going to do a .NET new console. And we've got some basic stuff, and we can open this then in code as well. A project called Code that we're opening in code. Of course we are. So there's not going to be much in this. This is the vanilla new console for .NET Core. Switch back and see what we need to do next. We need to add some packages, which makes sense. Now, this is asking us to add preview 3 of the .NET Core package here for the Azure Digital Twins.core. So it'd be interesting actually to see if that is actually the latest version. Or whether or not we should be using that specific one. I guess if we don't, then we're at risk of some of this stuff not actually working, but it'd be interesting to see anyway. So let's have a look, see if that is actually the latest version. In fact, that's not going to give us it. We want NuGet. Certainly looks like preview 3 is the latest one, so kudos to whoever wrote this and keeping that up to date. So that's good. So let's add this in there as well. Sorted. And then Azure Identity. If you were with me yesterday, then we had to set up Azure Active Directory, and also there's some identity in the Digital Twins as well, so we do some authentication that way, so no doubt that's why we need that. And now switching back to code, then theoretically in our CS proj then we'll have those two packages referenced as well. So that's good. In this section it says we're going to be talking about authentication, uploading a model, catching errors, creating digital twins and relationships, and querying. So that's pretty cool. So we are going to open the program.cs. We've done that, and we can see that we've already got that basic hello world stuff scaffolded out for us, and we need to use our new packages that we've included earlier. So I've got that. And the first thing our app's going to need to do is authenticate, and in order to do that we're going to need 3 pieces of information. Now again, if you watched yesterday's, then you'll recognize these 3 pieces of information because we had them available to us. We can actually, if we're using the Cloud Shell, we can get our tenant ID, but I'm guessing that these are the same piece of information. We need to paste in below hello world some more code. Let's have a look. So here. So our application ID, our directory ID, and our instance. So if we go back to our portal, I've got a link here to the two bits of information that we're going to need. So in the app, then we're going to get a client ID and a tenant ID. That looks like they're the other way around. Oh, okay, so client ID first. So we can copy that and paste that into our app. And then the tenant ID. Paste that in here too. I prefer to use the portal, the GUI side of things, rather than Cloud Shell for stuff like this, because it's, you know, a bit more visual. You can actually see what's happening. And if we switch over to our Digital Twins instance, then we have the host name here, and we can paste that into the end of this. So that should be about right. And then that should be all it needs then to authenticate. So what do we do next? Save the file. And note this example uses interactive browser credential. That's fine. We'll cause a browser window to open and ask us to provide our Azure credentials, which is good because those people that are watching can't try and steal my information there and do something. So we've got .NET Run that we need to run and see what it does now. So .NET Run. Service client created, ready to go. Hello world. So that authenticated for me automatically because I'm already signed in my browser. It actually happened over on the left hand side of the screen. I don't know if it'll do it again, if I can grab it when it's doing it now. So that's it done now. So that restores the dependencies as it say, and if no error occurs then it should say service client created, ready to go, which is exactly what we got. Since there's not yet any error handling, if anything goes wrong you'll see an exception, so that's fine. So that was good. So let's have a quick look at the code. So we've got client ID, tenant ID, and our URL. And then we're creating some credentials using that interactive browser credential to pop up. And then we're going to create a Digital Twins client. And we're going to pass in that URL here and the credentials that we're creating from those two bits of information. And then, assuming that everything works, then we'll get this service client created, which is what we got, and ready to go. So that all appeared to work perfectly fine. I can actually close this window now. We get a terminal open. Oh wait, get a terminal open in here, so we can just stick in VS Code instead. So we can do that again. .NET Run. Service client created, ready to go, and hello world. So if I just zoom in now on this so that you can actually see what's going on, because I'm betting that was a little bit small, so apologies for that. So hopefully you can see that a bit better now. So now uploading a model. So no intrinsic domain vocabulary. Types of elements in your environment can represent digital twins are defined by you. Models are similar to classes, and they use this digital twins definition language. So we need to create a DTDL. I keep getting that round my teeth. I can't get that out properly. In the directory where you created the project, create a new JSON file called samplemodel.json and paste in the following file body. So let's do that to create a new file, samplemodel.json, and we're going to paste in this. Now, I explained yesterday I've actually installed an extension for this, DTDL here. Which gives us some IntelliSense for this digital twin definition language, and a few bits of other things as well. Create interfaces from the command palette and stuff like that. So I recommend you go and get one of those if you're going to get this rather if you're going to play with those bits and bobs. So what's it going to tell us to do next? Yeah, okay. So if you're using Visual Studio, then you need to make sure that we've got copy always or copy if newer, otherwise it'll omit it from the run, which is fine. There's a language agnostic DTDL validator sample that you can check your models, which is interesting. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay, So a bit of code that we can download. Okay, I'm not going to do that now. Next, we need to add some more code to the program.cs to upload the model we've just created to our Azure Digital Twins instance. First, add a few using statements. So a few more of those. And we need to go back here and to here and add them in here. Next, we need to prepare to use asynchronous methods in the C# Service SDK by changing the main to an async. So let's do that. I think this async main is relatively new, or at least it's for new in .NET Core. Well, not new in .NET Core, but it comes with .NET Core. I think it lacks any await operators. It's telling us at the moment, and that's probably what we're going to add down here. Next comes the first bit of the code that interacts with the Azure Digital Twins service, and this code loads the DDTL file created from disk and uploads it. Paste following code under the authorization code. I wish this would auto-format. There's probably a way of doing it. Upload a model and read all the text from this sample model.json that we have there. And then create a model async. And now it wants us to run that again. So let's save that and run it again. I don't quite know if I've left anything over from yesterday, actually. So, oh, now it wants me to sign in. That's interesting. Why didn't it do that before? Authentication complete. That's good. Oh, look at this. I don't know what all this means. Some sort of an error. Authentication failed. Configuration issue. All right. Is it telling us that that's going to happen? No. So I wonder what the authentication was that failed. It's interesting. Invalid client. I wonder, did I miss something in thinking that we'd already done a lot of this stuff up here? I don't think there's anything wrong there. I did this, how to set up an instance for authentication. I did that. Azure AD app registration, application clients and tenants. I did those. So why wouldn't those work, but this does? Why would that work and then this not work? Let's just try running it again one more time to see what it does. Did it do something? Upload a model. Interactive browser authentication failed configuration issues. Check the error message. Out of interest, let's just try running it in the command line, just see if it's something to do with code. No, so it's exactly the same. That's interesting. So that's right, isn't it? Let's just double check our settings. Twins API, blah blah blah. Let's just double check that against what we've got in the tutorial. Oh. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with that. And then let's double check client and tenant. Just make sure they're right. Client is 8. Yeah, the tenant is 3. So they're okay. Interesting. So what's it complaining about? I wonder if I sign out of my portal, sign back in again. But before I do that, let's just try running it. Let's see what happens there. It says invalid client though. Interesting. Request body must contain the following parameter: client assertion or client secret. I don't see anything intrinsically wrong with what's been written in the code there to cause that. I wonder if we're able to try our example from yesterday and just see if that can still connect. Let's have a look, see if something else is happening. So this should be npm run start for this one. And this will open local host. I'm just going to sign into this anyway, so I've got the portal back. That was faster than yesterday. I don't know why it was so slow yesterday. That was quite fast. Unless it knows that I've not changed anything, maybe. So let's just make sure we can connect. I've not changed anything here. Let's connect. So I've got a bunch of models in here already. I mean, I don't know if that's maybe the problem. So let's run a query. And I mean, I'm not sure what the best... I wonder, can I, like, delete star from digital twins? No, you can't. We have got the option. I can't copy and paste that, which is frustrating. Can inspect it though, and I'll copy and paste it from the inspector. There. Let's have a look at what options we've got in there to delete everything. Query by model, query based on relationship, query. Selects, loads of selects, functions, query limitations, query best practices. I don't really want to have to sit there deleting everything manually. I would have thought there'd be a way that we could do that. No deletes or drops or anything. Frustrating. Alright, well, fine. I was kind of hoping against hope there that it would let me sort of delete it in one big go, but it doesn't appear so. don't think I can actually turn off that property viewer either. I can't even press the delete button, which is frustrating. I don't know if backspace works. No, backspace or delete don't work. And this isn't the fastest thing in the world either. I doubt this is actually causing a problem, but I'd rather it be blank, I think, if it's going to be. I mean, there must be a better way of doing this. That's like you can import a blank graph. I don't even know if this is actually making any difference whatsoever. And not particularly fun for you to watch, of course. But hey ho. I don't want to delete that stuff on the left-hand side before I do this, because it might like leave a load of orphaned stuff there that I can't do anything with then, which would be frustrating. And I don't even know, I don't quite know enough about how this is working to know whether or not that stuff's actually been stored up in the digital twins in here. I don't think it is. I think it's just given each one of those access to this. No activity in there. No, I mean, I don't think this has anything to do with it. But I mean, I'm going to do this anyway, because then I've got it tidied up. So you can just bear with me a second. I'll delete these. By deleting that stuff on the left, it possibly might delete everything in here as well. But I think this is just stored in local storage, personally. I don't think this is doing anything, and our code then can send stuff up to the Digital Twins IoT hub and then back down to each of these. I think it's just like a visualization mechanism, this. I do quite like this layout though. I think it's quite a nicely designed app. I don't know what you think. It's not long till Microsoft Ignite now either, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I'm involved in a couple of sessions over there, including the session on digital twins. So I wanted to make sure that I'd run through this relatively recently. Get some experience of the latest bits, and it's a while since I've looked at it. And there's a whole heap of new stuff, of course, as I say. I've looked at the first preview, but not the second preview in much detail, so. Nearly there. Laborious. I probably could have written something that did this, but you know, it would have taken me longer to do that. Oh, it's not, actually. I wonder if it's local storage, can I clear the local storage in here? Forget where that is. Let's find out. It says it's F12. Go to the debugger view and press Control. Debugger. Oh, that's in. Control No doesn't work. Box at the bottom in case I can't see enough of it. Witness. Oh, that's so hard to get to. Oh, okay. I say okay. Yeah, I thought it would have been there on the left-hand side. It's the local storage manager, session storage managers. How do you get to it then? Application. Ah. Oh. Okay. Well, interestingly, that's not this though, is it? Got some queries. That's configuration stuff that's up here. You might be able to do it from down here. Delete all models. Ah, okay. Oh, you know, I wonder if that would have done the stuff on the right hand side of the graph as well. Oh well. We live and learn. So that appears to have done that. Well, anyway, I mean, I'm betting you any money that this isn't going to make any difference whatsoever to what we're doing. So let's terminate that anyway and close this for now. But we know that connects and that appears to work. It's not bombing out. So let's close both of these. I don't think that's the problem. I'll switch back to here and just see what this does now when we run it. Sign in. And then it doesn't work. I mean, I've got two-factor authentication like you should have on your account. Ah, okay. Well, that took some digging, didn't it? So if I enable that, public client, and I mean, have I missed that? Does that actually tell us to do this in here? And I mean, it's in this, isn't it? I'm guessing. So let's have a look. Public. Script. Oh, that's the scripted one. But I followed along with the portal one of these. Public. Activate. Oh, look. Activate public client access. Other possible steps. Well, I mean, that's required though. This isn't another possible step. It would be good if that was a bit more obvious. Having said that, we've not proven that we fixed it yet. So have I got to save anything? Yeah, save that. So that's enabled that now. So all being well, I'll run this time. And sign in. authentication complete. And we got upload model. So that worked. That was a little bit frustrating. So going back to that page then, here. Upload a model. I mean, what you can do with a lot of these docs is that they're all open source. I don't know if you realise that. So I think it'd be handy to stick a note in here to say, if you receive that error, that we should hopefully still have here, look. Scroll up to the top of that. That's right, so if you receive authentication failed with this one, invalid client and that. So I don't like pasting all that in, but we'll decide in a second. But if I go back to this, and then we can actually edit this page, you see, if you click edit. And then we can edit it directly here. And then upload a model. Just double check in here that, because it looks like there's some errors here. Okay, well, I mean, that's handling stuff that it's expecting because you're going to upload the model twice. So let's just go back to the edit file. It'd be nice, I think, if we warned somebody about that, so you don't end up doing what I did and spend ages trying to figure out what the actual problem is. Ideally, we'd do both of these and move that up, but you know, it's directly relating to this, isn't it? So let's do a, how do we do note? What was that? Just pop this here for now. Oh, no, don't do that. That's that one. Sort of ID. Alright, where was I? Yeah. If you receive an error, I think we can do that, can't we? And make sure you have labeled. What's the which will be the name of the treat applications public client. In fact, let's set to true. Is it true or enabled column? Yes. Neither, in fact. Yes. In the Authentication. Can't spell application. I don't know why it's not spell checking in here either. Authentication. This is our application essentially. Let's just do it through this way. So I wanted to make sure that I get the text correct. App registration. Make sure the registration authentication section. It'd be good to have a screenshot of that, but I did have it. Link it from this, I guess. Come on. Oh, I copied that. Link. I think there's a way to do links correctly, isn't there? And in fact, look, probably should be doing this. How do we do links? Oh, like that. Yep. So square brackets and then regular brackets. Common invalid client errors. Something like that. Let's have a look. See what that looks like. Don't like that. Oh, well, we won't see it marked up though. See the following error. Make sure that you're set. Well, it's kind of going to look like whatever it's going to look like. Let's go back to it, in fact. This is what you came along to watch, isn't it? Me modifying documents. Well, it's a relatively important thing because when you're following along with these tutorials, then do get involved with this. It's an open source push to be able to keep these things up to date and make them as accessible as possible. So I was like, if I spot something like this that's relatively important to change, I'll go ahead and make a pull request. And what you might find is that they'll modify the wording or whatever to make it fit a little bit better, or perhaps they just won't accept it at all. But not only are you contributing, but perhaps it'll embed that problem a little bit more, and if you do it again, then you'll remember at that point. But anyway, if we look a bit further down, we'll see what these notes actually look like. There, look, so it's going to look a little bit like that. Note for information. We've got one that's got, it's kind of going to squidge it all up onto one line. So, do you reckon it's a note or a tip? Personally, I think it's a note. But could be a tip. Maybe a tip would be better, actually. Let's have a look. How do you do a tip? No. Is there a way that you can search again? Oh, it's just tip then, is it? Oh, it looks like you can have a blank line, and maybe that does something there. Okay, let's go down to mine. Tip. I wanted to keep that on there, just to make it a little bit better. Something like that. Tip. Tip, tip, tip. Tip. Yeah, nothing special about it, is there? It says tip. Yeah. So if you receive the following error, drink, authentication exception, and should we make that on a separate line as well? Something like that. And make sure that you set treat application as public client to yes in the Azure Active Directory application registration authentication section. Will people know where that is? I hope so. And following the link will give you a bit more information anyway. So let's just preview those again, just make sure that looks right. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? See, common invalid client errors. I like that. I think that's okay. So let's check that in. So this will create a whole new branch of this. What am I going to call it? Enabling treat application as public client. What it's called. If you can, okay. Well, it's okay. Upload model the treat application as public client option must be set to yes. Error is created. Yeah, oh, whatever. Aborted, that's better. Yeah, I think that's okay. I've only just added that tip. Nothing else have I accidentally. It's okay to me. So propose changes. Let's double check. Sometimes I spot this where it looks like something's been taken out. I don't quite know what that is that it's complaining about there. But we'll see. Somebody will complain, I guess, if it's not quite doing it right. But comparing changes against that and then mine, which is okay. Create a pull request. If we go back, I don't know what it's complaining about there. Let's want to preview the changes again and go down right at the bottom. I'm guessing it might be, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Ah. Why has that disappeared now? Can I just go forwards? Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I should be able to create a new pull request with that. I'm never quite sure about this, so I must ask somebody about that. Because obviously I didn't modify that, but I think it's created me this, so yeah. Create a pull request, and that's going to use the same information for my check-in, which is fine. And create a pull request, and it'll block it because I'm not authenticated to make these changes. So the author will actually get a notification, an email to say, oh, somebody's made a pull request. All checks are passed. Merging is blocked, and then it should tell me that. It's possible as well that you'll need to agree to the terms and conditions when you do this. They've got a code of conduct when you're making these changes, obviously, so that it stops people from putting naughty words and things like that in there. So yeah, all the checks have passed. Thanks for contribution. The authors have been notified. So apologies if some of that was quite small. Actually, I could have zoomed in and made that a bit easier for everybody to read, but hey ho. So that's done. And I don't need to do anything else because I'm not authorized to do it. In fact, you can hover over this and Bailey Anderson and PR Merger 15. So Bailey Anderson, in fact, Banders. We can drill in and have a look who that is. Microsoft Corp. So she's got some Azure stuff. In fact, let's follow her because she's working in the space that I'm working in. So be good to keep up with what she's actually doing there. Some samples for IoT stuff, digital twins. So that'll be cool. So hi Bailey. And in fact, it's entirely possible that I can find her on Twitter if she's in that space. It'd be good to see if she's contributing anything on there as well. So I'm going to do that off to the side. Bailey Anderson. Spell that right. Yep. People. Ah. Right. No, I'll have a look for her later on. See if I can find where she is. That would have been embarrassing. Just thought I'd look on there in case she had a Twitter on there, but she hasn't. So anyway, that's enough of that. We've been digressing quite a lot in this, so apologies for that. So that's okay. I'm going to add that to my digital twins list there. So okay, well that was good. So we did some stuff there. So we uploaded a model. To add a print statement indicating whether models are actually uploaded successfully, add the following code right after the previous section. So let's do that. As usual, having to tab everything in. Out of interest, what were we doing there? We created a typed list and we've read that in, and we added the DTDL to the typed list, and then we created a model. Okay, and this time we're creating a model data list, model data, and we're getting models async from the client. So from digital twins, and then we are then looping around each of those model data in the model data list and spitting out the display name and the ID. Okay, oops, no, it's okay. Scroll back down here. I bet it's going to want us to run it. Before you run the program again to test the code, recall that the last time you ran the program, you uploaded your model already, and Azure Digital Twins will let you upload the model twice. So expect to see an exception. I think this is kind of what I was saying previously. So it must store it on the twin, the model there, which kind of makes sense. So again, we can run that, and it should complain that the model's already there. Error, model already exists. So that's good. And okay, so nothing to worry about there, but it's actually, you know, spat us out at that point. It's reported that error and done. So we already know when we're scrolling through, the next section is catch errors. So we can do that. So to keep the program crashing, you can add an exception around the model upload code. So wrap this create model in there. This one. Create model async, and then so that's just going to tell us that it's going to fail. If you run the program with .NET Run and you command window now, you'll see that you get an error back, all of that, and then some headers. Document already exists. Okay, well, do we? Let's have a look. It's frustrating we have to do that every time, but it's okay. Okay, we got that, but we also got all the way to Hello World, which actually did we get that last time? Oh no, here we are. Yeah, no. Let's just do that again. Yeah, okay. Service request failed, conflict. Okay, that's definitely in there. So yeah, and that's exactly what it says we should get. Type sample model 1. Yeah, there. It's actually a slightly different response, isn't it? To yeah, system collections, generic dictionary, blah 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 blah, sample model 1. Display name and ID. Type name, display name, ID. So that must be the display name, I guess, then. I've just given us something slightly different. I've definitely done it right, haven't I? Looks like it. I mean, do I go in and update that for them as well? Let's say something like this. So, you know, it's close enough, I would have said. Okay, so create digital twins. Moving on. Wrap all calls. Okay, yeah, we're going to be safe and wrap everything in try catch. Now that we've uploaded a model, we can use model definition to create digital twins. Instances of the model represent entities within our business environment, like sensors on a farm and things like that. Ooh, my mouse has gone dead slow all of a sudden. Better. I think Twitter had a notification up there for yesterday's Formula One little run around that Michael Schumacher's dad, ran around in his 2004 championship winning car around Mugello, which was fantastic to hear that V10 engine screaming down the track. Again, really do need to bring that back. The sound was awesome. Right, add a new using statement. So we need JSON, funnily enough, and some serialization. And add the following code to the end of the main method to create and initialize 3 digital twins based on this model. Okay, I'll paste it in and then have a look and see if we can understand what it's actually doing. So creating some basic digital twin called twin data, then adding a model ID, which you have to do. I mean, you can do this in JSON, but we're going to create the JSON directly from this. And then some custom properties with data of hello world, okay. And then we're going to create a prefix, and we're going to give the twins an ID of prefix and then a loop number, which is fine. And then we're going to create that digital twin by serializing that twin data that we're creating throughout this with that prefix, created twin, and then we've wrapped it in a try catch. So that should be okay. run.NET run, and then repeat to run the program again. Notice that no error is thrown when the twins are created the second time, even though the twins already exist. Unlike model creation, twin creation on the REST level, a put call with upsert semantics. That means that if a twin already exists, trying to create it again will just replace it, and no error is required. So let's do that. I should still get this model error. The authentication happened on my other browser window on the right hand side there. So didn't get any errors to do that. I mean, console write created twin. You know, it would be handy if I saved this file, wouldn't it? Let's do that again. Silly. It's signing me in over on the right hand side now because I've had that browser last time. Okay. Let's rectify that problem. There. That'll do it in there now anyway. But anyway, we created 3 sample twins. And if I run it again then, they'll probably just say exactly the same thing. So that's okay. Close that. And back to here. And again, 3 sample twins. So that's exactly what it said. So it's upserting. Okay, create relationships. Next, you can create relationships between the twins you created to connect them to the twin graph. Twin graphs are used to represent your entire environment, and you saw that I deleted from our sample application there before the nice graphs that you had. So, create a relationship. We are going to need the serialization of digital twins. Isn't that what we've got already? We've already got that. Oh. Be able to skip this if it's already already added. That kind of looks like a leftover there from something else. I don't think we need that entire section. I can't see why you could come down to create relationships and ignore some of this other stuff. But why did we add that? Sure. Oh dear, where is that? There, look, isn't it? It's directly above. And that should say how to use this. No, we're going to be using this and add it if it's missing as a tip, really. I'll just remove that entirely. Personally, I'll just get rid of that. But I suppose you could be. Why are you going to run through this and just skip that section there? Because you won't have any digital twins to test it on. So, personally, I think that whole section should disappear. What do you reckon? Should we delete it? Skip this if already added. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm not going to go through and spend very much time doing it. I'm just going to delete it. This part just down here. But I don't think we need that. It just doesn't give us anything. I mean, do we need serialization? Let's call serialization to do this part. Probably do, because we're doing that, maybe. Anyway, either way, preview our changes, and it should just have me removing that section there. Look, gone. That's the change. I think that doesn't need to be next under those circumstances either, does it? new static method, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Superfluous? Not how you spell superfluous. Spell superfluous. Not sulphurous. It smells superfluous. Superfluous. Something like that. No, superfluous. Superfluous addition of. Which one was it? Digital twins. It's going to be too many letters for this. That's superfluous using statement in relationships. Look at that. Using. Just leave it like that, I guess. We're happy with that, do we think? I always like to just make sure that I'm happy when I do these things. Because we have already had it, and it's up there, look. So, and why would you just do this on its own and not that? Because you can't create relationships unless we've uploaded the twins. So, no, I'm happy enough with that. So let's propose those changes. Blah blah blah, and this usual thing down here at the bottom, and that, I'm not sure what they are. Added that and deleted that lot. Happy with that. Hit pull request. Bah, bah, bah. I suppose I could not watch this, but oh, 2 PR mergers. And Bailey Anderson again. Hello again, Bailey. So that's all good. So we can go all the way back to our tutorial. Hopefully that'll take us straight back to where we were. I don't know. I'm pretty sure in Chrome it would have done. Group relationships. So we don't need to do that. But next we add a new static method. This lot underneath the main method. At the end of that. It is. So we're going to create a relationship, create a new basic relationship. Target ID contains. We're passing in the target ID, and then we're going to try and create a relationship ID, source ID, and target ID. So you're going to link two things together, the source and the target, then create a relationship with the source ID, the relationship ID, and then this relationship. So the source contains a target, I think. That's what it's trying to tell us there. So it's kind of like it's showing, look. Which is interesting. So, okay, and create a relationship, or there's an error. So just save that. Add the following code. Now we're going to actually hit. And run it. See what that does. Sign in. Created relationship successfully. It's actually running all right through this tutorial. I mean, it's quite new. This is so. In fact, when was this created? May, so not that new then. Capture digital twins. In your command window, note the digital twins will not let you create a relationship if one of the same ID already exists. So if you run the program multiple times, you'll see exceptions on relationship creation. The code catches them. Let's have a look at them. Sign in. It's a small price to pay, this is. No, we do not. Interesting. Captures the exceptions and ignores them. No. Doesn't ignore them. It should say create relationship error. That's not what we're seeing. Interesting. So has that changed, do we think? Check my notifications. Okay. Oh, let's not worry too much about that then, because perhaps I've changed something behind the scenes. It's not stopping us from doing anything, it's just not quite right to the detail. So, just ask about that. Let's code you'll add allows you to see the relationships. Cool. Add the following method to the program class. List relationships. So async pageable. Get relationships async. Twin source ID is connected to. Results from the source. Each of those, then deserialize a basic relationship here, and then stick out the name and the target ID, and then we're going to need to list the relationships at the end of the main, just here. That's okay. On that, we'll have to sign in. Close that. Twin sample 1 is connected to contains sample twin 1 and contains sample twin 2. I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, doesn't tell us. Main feature of Azure Digital Twins is to be able to query. Yeah, and this is specifically, to have a look at the whole of the domain and be able to figure out things. In the example I ran through yesterday, we were able to find rooms in that whole model that had a temperature over 70 degrees and things like that. It's quite handy. Last section of code to add in this tutorial runs a query against the Azure Digital Twins instance, and this query used in this example returns all digital twins in the instance. So add this code to the end of the main method. Select star from digital twins, and you saw that briefly when we were looking at that demo as well, where we were doing this. And then we are just going to deserialize each of those and print them out. Pretty twin, because it's doing it indented. Is that why you're calling it pretty, is it? And run it. Sign in. There. That's queried it. So if I pull this up now so we can see a little bit more of it, and that was the result of having a look at the relationships there. And then we've got these twins. So sample twin 1, hello world, hello world. And I guess that is what we're creating right at the very start of this. Right up here. Where are we creating that? Oh, it's in the JSON, isn't it? It's here, look. Oh, that again. It's not. Where's hello world, hello world? Why did we do that? Frame feed. Hello world. Oh, twin.data. Hello world. There it is. Custom properties.add. Hello world. Desired value. So this is a the fact that it's got desired value in there. It's saying that this is using twins. So IoT Hub has got its own twins relationship to this as well, because it's based on an IoT Hub. Sample twin 1. Yeah, sample twin 1. Hello world. They've all got hello world on them. Sample twin 2, hello world. Sample twin 0, hello world. Twin 2, sample twin 1. Oh, contains. Okay, it's just showing us those relationships. Sample twin 2, sample twin 0. Cool, okay. At this point in the tutorial, we've got a complete client app capable of performing basic operations. For full reference, this is all of the code. I'm not going to double check that. I'm betting that it's right. It could be wrong, but I think it's okay. And then it's telling us that we should delete the whole resource group in case it starts charging us some money. I get Azure credits, so I'm not all that bothered about that particular thing. Next steps, we can explore the basics for the sample client app as well, which I'm not going to do today. I think that's probably enough for today. I've just looked down at what I'm looking at. I'm a little bit overexposed, I think, all the way back here. I mean, it's possible that I might be better off without that, but then we start getting bleed on the green screen behind me. Either way, if that's the only thing that's been wrong with this today, then that's okay. So thanks for watching this. I'll probably come back and try this next one in a future stream. That looks quite interesting, actually, so be interested to try that one out. So yeah, I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.